Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari 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 Gopijana Vallabha Girivanadari Gopijana Vallabha Girivanadari Gopijana Vallabha Girivanadari Gopijana Vallabha Girivanadari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivanadari Gopijana Vallabha Girivanadari Stolanandana Prajajanandana Stolanandana Prajajanandana Yamunatira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Krishna Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 1, right? Yep. Sutuvacha Vayasakiriti Vachas Tattva Nishchayam Atmana Ubadharya Matin Krishna Autareya Satim Vyata Sutuvacha Vayasakiriti Vachas Tattva Nishchayam Atmana Ubadharya Matin Krishna Autareya Satim Vyata Sutuvacha Vayasakiriti Vachas Tattvanishchayam Atmana Vadharaya Matin Krishna Autareya Satim Vyata Sutuvacha Sutta Goswami said Vayasake of Sukadeva Goswami iti thus Vacha speeches Tattva Nishchayam that which verifies the truth Atmana in the self Ubadharya just having realized Matin concentration of the mind Krishna unto Lord Krishna Autaraya the son of Uttara Satin chaste Vyadhat Translation and purport by the Divine Vijaya. Sutta Goswami said Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Uttara, after hearing the speeches of Sukadeva Goswami, which were all about the truth of the self, applied his concentration faithfully upon Lord Krishna. The word sutim is very significant. This means existing and chaste. And both imports are perfectly applied in the case of Maharaj Parikshit. The whole Vedic adventure is to draw one's attention entirely to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna without any diversion. You know, they have these, when they have horse races, cows have these things on the side of the face. Mm. Don't get diverted, get focused, otherwise I get spaced out. And both imports are perfectly applicable in the case of Maharaj Parikshit. The whole Vedic adventure, it's an adventure. There's one back in the 1970s, they had Prabhupada wrote to Korma, you know, the famous cook, the book you like, the cookbook you like so much. He said, I hope you have all success in your transcendental adventure. Krishna consciousness is a transcendental adventure, just like when we go on book distribution. We don't know what's going to happen. Right? It's an adventure. We don't know who we're going to meet. We don't know what's going to happen. Like I met this one guy the other day. He said he was intoxicated, and Ganesh appeared in his intoxicated state. He's like, who's that? Yeah, he had arms and he had bellies. What is that? So I went on the internet to find out what is this elephant? You know, it has arms. He found it's Ganesh. So we looked at, found out all kinds of things about Ganesh, and then he got a book from me. I told him, see, you're on the journey now. Ganesh is a very great personality, and he's going to be so happy that you have all these. You actually got the whole staff. You got all the books. So Ganesh is helping us in book distribution. The whole Vedic adventure is to draw one's attention entirely to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna without any diversion. As instructed in the Bhagavad Gita 15:15. You know the verse? Anybody know the verse 15:15? Very famous, one of the great classics. Sarvashchaham Hrisanavista. Vedaischa Saveraham Vedyo.
Vedantkrit Vedvid Evcha.
Vedantkrit Vedvid Evcha. I am sealed within everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta and knower of the Vedas. Very important verse. Fortunately, Maharaj Parikshit had already been attracted to the Lord from the very beginning of his body in the womb of his mother. In the womb of his mother, he was struck by the Brahmastra, the atomic bomb released by Ashwatthama. But by the grace of the Lord, he was saved from being burnt by the fiery weapon. And since then, the king continuously concentrated his mind upon Lord Krishna, which made him perfectly chaste in devotional service. It's an amazing pastime. This guy, Ashwatthama, he was such a rascal. He tried to destroy the last of the Kuru dynasty. So he sent this weapon. And what's amazing also is Uttara. Uttara was such a an exalted devotee. She said to Krishna, Krishna, may I die, but may my child live. Now, throughout the world, millions, literally every year, millions of women kill their children in the womb. I mean, in the past, I mean, they can't even imagine a woman killing her child. I remember reading there was one lady, she had become pregnant, but she decided to have an abortion because she wanted to get a suntan that summer, and if she had a big belly, she wouldn't be able to get a suntan, so she killed her child. That makes a lot of sense, really. Yeah, it's heartless. People that just become heartless. No understanding. That's a person, that's your child. Just, yeah, heartless. So by natural sequence, he was a chaste and devotee of the Lord. And when he further heard from Sukadeva Goswami that one should worship the Lord only and no one else, even though full of all desires or desireless, akama, sabakama, moksakama, tivrena, bhakti, yajeta, whether one is full of desires, no material desire, desire liberation, one should worship the personality of God. So by natural sequence, he was a chaste devotee of the Lord. And when he further heard from Srila Sukadeva Goswami that one should worship the Lord only and no one else, even though full of all desires or desireless, his natural affection for Krishna was strengthened. We have already discussed these topics. So we become strong, we get strengthened. Every day we're doing a spiritual workout. Just like the karmas, they go to the gym every day, some of them. They want to get their body to get strong. But still the body's going to die, no matter how strong it is. But we're not going to die. The soul's not going to die. So every day we're doing a workout. We're doing our 16 rounds, our 16 round yajna. And we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, we're reading Bhagavad Gita. All this strengthens us. Balaram is known as spiritual strength. So by this hearing, by this chanting, we become very strong. And if we seriously continue this, then Maya will not be able to touch us. To become a pure devotee of Lord Krishna, two things are very much essential. Namely, having a chance to be born in the family of a devotee and having the blessings of a bona fide spiritual master. Well, we got one of those. We were born into Malecha families, except for Kautu Karnav, I think. Your parents are devotees, yeah? Kautu? No, he's not there.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, so you're the exception. So to be born to a family of devotees, that's so rare. But even then, even born into a family of devotees, even then, it's like we've had so many people join our society, and they have children, and unfortunately, our children haven't turned out to be so good. Which, even though they do the whole Bhagavatam sanskar, before they do the procreation active, they chant 50 rounds to get ready, bring a good soul. But unfortunately, there hasn't come out too good. By the grace of Lord Krishna, Parikshit Maharaj had both opportunities. He was born to a family of such devotees as the Pandavas. Imagine having they were, his father was Abhimanyu. So his grandfather was Arjuna. I didn't have a grandfather like Arjuna. That would be pretty nice. He was born in a family of such devotees as the Pandavas, and just to continue the dynasty of the Pandavas and show them special favor, the Lord specifically saved Maharaj Parikshit, who later on, by the arrangement of the Lord, was cursed by the boy of a Brahmana and was able to get the association of such a spiritual master as Sukadeva Goswami. Boy, what a fortunate soul! Huh? His father is Abhimanyu, his grandfather is Arjuna. He gets Sukadeva Goswami as a spiritual master. And this whole arrangement happens while he's in good health, good consciousness, because it's stated that that I pray that the swan of my mind may immediately get locked up the nectar of your lotus feet. Otherwise, if I wait till the end of my life, when my throat is choked up, my memory is weak, how will it be possible for me to think of you? What's the verse? Anybody remember the verse? Krishna Tvadeya Parapankaja Pantaratam Adhyayameva Satyamala Suraja Hamsa Prana Prayana Samaye Kapavata Vitai Kanta Rodnavadaslanam Vidas. King Kulashekar. This is this prayer. May I leave my body when I'm healthy, strong, Krishna conscious. Otherwise, yeah, when you later on in life, just like unfortunately, so many devotees, like we were just with this devotee in Los Angeles, Yasin. He's got Alzheimer's, so it's very difficult for him. When you get older, it gets very difficult. Get in your 90s, 100, very difficult. The body really breaks down. So he prayed like that. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that a fortunate person, by the mercy of the spiritual master and Lord Krishna, achieves the path of devotional service. This was perfectly applicable in the case of Maharaj Parikshit. By way of being born in a family of devotees, he automatically came in touch with Krishna, and after being so contacted, he constantly remembered him. Consequently, Lord Krishna gave the king a further chance for development in devotional service. And by introducing him to Sukadeva Goswami, a stalwart devotee of the Lord with perfect knowledge and self-realization. And by hearing from a bona fide spiritual master, he was perfectly able to concentrate his chaste mind further upon Lord Krishna as a matter of course. Om Gyanativarandasya Gyanajinam Shalakaya Chakshurimitam Tasma Shri Hukum Gurdavatalam Bhumundam Vete Kripapadam Bande Shri Vanchikapatu Vishya Kripa Sindhu Devacham Paditanam Pavanim Vashri. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram. So here we're hearing how Parikshit Maharaj, he was able to focus his mind on Krishna, concentrate, just really focus on Krishna. He had good help. He had very good help. He had Sukadeva Goswami, who was guiding him in his journey back to Krishna. So it's so important to have devotees to help us in this as Prabhupada says, in this adventure, because it's a dangerous place. The pure world is a very dangerous place. And many crazy things can happen in the material world. So we have to be very carefully engaged in Krishna consciousness, knowing what to do, knowing what not to do. A lot of people don't like the rules. I was talking to one person. He was a Christian, but he became an atheist. And I explained to him, look at all the practical evidence, the existence of God, just look at the nature, just look at people, so much intelligence happening. He said, yeah, but then there's so many rules, you have to follow so many rules. People don't like rules. They just want to let their senses go. Nunam pramataku te karma, yet indriya prita apam, sadhamani survive. That's not it. When one thinks that sense gratification is the goal of life, one becomes mad after sense gratification, engaged in all kinds of sinful activities. So this is what happens when one thinks that the goal of life is sense gratification, one will he just becomes mad. This is it. This is the perfection of life, is to let the senses go. After all, you only live once in life, right? That's it. Get all the gusto you can. But no, we continue. According to our past activities and according to our karma, or according to the mercy of Krishna, everybody gets a certain situation. So we have to be very careful and not just be controlled by the senses. This verse goes on to say that therefore one should not again be controlled by the senses, because this sense gratification, it's temporary. It's a cause of misery, and it's a cause of one's again entering into the cycle of birth and death. And this is the greatest fear of a devotee, is to again go into the cycle of birth and death. Because you're just lost. A person is just lost, not knowing, just moved by the modes of nature. The animal, they eat, sleep, and depend, that's it. They can't question about life, what happens in the time, what's the goal of life. Only in the human form of life. So the human form of life is such a great boon. But people just like animals, just acting like animals. As Prabhupada said, like polished animals, just going on, just moved by their senses, controlled by their senses. Just like it is said that the human being, he sees with his ears, or excuse me, a devotee, he sees with his ears. He can just by hearing it, one can see what is right, what is wrong, just by hearing. And he does the right thing. The karmis, they see with their eyes, and therefore there's so much, just like there's so much advertisement, there's signs everywhere. Sign, everywhere is sign. Breaking, there's a sign everywhere, sign. Right? No, I didn't make it. There's so much advertisement, and there's the movies, and there's TV, and there's social media. Their eyes are just, just constantly, they can't keep their attention. And the animals, or the dog, it said that the dog sees with his nose. The devotee sees with his ears, the karmas they see with their eyes, and the dogs they see with their nose. So therefore we have to hear nicely, very attentively. Just think, I'll give you an example. Imagine there's a fire in a building, 3-story building. And there's a man in the building, 3rd story, and there's a big fire. So he's shouting out the window for help. And someone has called the fire department. So the fireman comes. And they have these big bullhorns. And they're shouting. But this is what you do. So can you imagine how attentive, right? Can you imagine how attentive he'll be when this fireman is shouting, this is what you do? He's not going to fall asleep. Right? He'll be so attentive. So this human form of life, it's also a matter of life and death. If we hear nicely and we apply this information nicely, then we can get out of the whole cycle of birth and death. But if we're sleepy, if we don't take this seriously, if we're spiritually lazy, then we're not going to catch the message on how to escape. It's called The Great Escape. David Richtswamy, he wrote a book called The Great Escape. It's like there's so many prisons. It's very hard to get. I think there's one prison in El Salvador. No one's been able to escape. But I think all the others, maybe there's 1 or 2 that haven't. It's very difficult to escape from prison. But more difficult is to escape from the cycle of birth and death. But the key is we have to hear nicely and apply nicely. The check and see if there's the prisons. So yeah, not easy to escape from the cycle of birth and death, the samsara. Pravishtakarna Rendrena Swanam Bhavasura. To know this, I love Sailasha Itashvara, that the literary incarnation of Krishna enters into the heart of the self-realized devotee. There it sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship with Krishna and cleanses it of all lust, anger, greed, envy, illusion. Thus it acts like atuna pools of water, like rain upon muddy pools of water. Just like out here, we have this pool out here, and there's probably some place where there's a little hole, some cement hole, and some dirt gets in there. Initially, when some rain comes, it becomes muddy. It's just muddy. But as the rain continually comes, then eventually the mud is removed. There's no mud. It's just clear, distilled water. So we to come in this material world, we have these muddy hearts, dirty hearts. But by this continual hearing, chanting, serving, then eventually all this dirt, this mud in the heart will be removed. And the only desire within the heart or within the mind will be to serve Krishna. Smartavya Saratang Vishnu. This is the golden rule in our Hare Krishna movement. Always remember Krishna. Never forget Krishna. This is the golden rule. And that's why we're doing everything we're doing. We're doing everything so that we can remember Krishna. And we have this nice service that helps us to remember Krishna, book distribution. Like I went to the first time ever, I went to Los Altos yesterday. And like I said, it's an adventure. You never know what's going to happen. First time there, I didn't know where to go. So I found a good spot, but I had to go to the car to get something. So when I came back, the organizers of the of the uh, of the market, they said, "Sorry, you can't stay here. This is where someone is set up. You can't." So I had to move. I had to go to another place, which wasn't as good. So anyway. But most important thing on book distribution is
Pray like anything.
pray like anything. You gotta pray. Started praying like anything. And it turned out to be a nice day. A lot of people did about 40 books. But yeah, it's an adventure. We never know. And another thing is that they had a musician there. He was so loud. I'm thinking, oh my God. First they got moved. Now I got this loud musician. So it makes it so difficult because they can't hear you unless you shout. You say, yes, shout all the time. But anyway, still turned out to be a good day. But it's an adventure. We don't know what's going to happen. I met some really nice people also. So such a nice activity because it's so pleasing to Krishna. It's so pleasing to Prabhupada. So we can't imagine how fortunate we are to be engaged in this activity of book distribution. Because we're going to have this nice morning program, and then we have the afternoon program, which is book distribution, which is also filled with so much opportunity to think of Krishna. It's a great boon. So this word tattva nishchayam, that which verifies the truth. I was on a call recently with JM. It was Monday evening call, and one person he said it was a question, a bit of a challenge also, that how can you verify the existence of the soul? So I gave the example of the how the body is like a boat. But there's a verse that says that the body is like a boat. So the boat is plavam karma Mayana Vayasit Namasu Vardan. Pumang Verdata, Pumang with that's some of it. So this verse goes to say that the body is like a boat, the spiritual master, he's the captain. And the favorable winds, that's the Vedas to help us. So I gave that example. He said, I don't like these analogies. He didn't like analogies. First time in my life I ever met somebody that didn't like analogies. So I said, you want verification of the existence of the soul, but the soul is subtle. It can't be seen, just like you can't see thoughts. We know thoughts exist, but no one has ever seen a thought. No one has ever seen time. We all know time exists, but no one has ever seen time. It's not verifiable. No one has ever seen the atom. Even the atom cannot be seen. It's so small. But there is a process by which one can understand the atom exists. Similarly, there's a process by which one can understand that the soul exists. And that process is the process of devotional service. So he wasn't very humble. But yeah, actually Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that Ascharya Pashti Kashtenam, Ascharya Varedataivatu, Ascharya Vachanya Nyasvanoti Subyati Naveda Chaiva Pashti. He says some look on the soul is amazing. Some describe the soul as amazing. And some hear the soul as amazing, and some, even after hearing about it, can't understand him at all. So just to understand the soul, it's not easy. What to speak of trying to understand Krishna. So this is where one lady, she said, on this Zoom call, she said, by the practice of devotional service, by hearing, one gets realization of the soul. One realizes that we're the soul within. And yeah, she's been a practitioner of Srimad. So yeah, this is by practice. This is one of the side benefits of chanting Hare Krishna, is that we get realization of the soul. And the soul is so transcendental that it doesn't even touch the body. There's 5 airs that surround the soul. So the soul is not even doesn't even touch the material elements. And Rupa Goswami, he says, I do not know how much nectar there is in the 2 syllables, Krishna. When I chant the holy name, Krishna, the holy name appears to dance in my tongue. And it enters into the courtyard of my, when it enters into the courtyard of my heart, it stops the activities of my mind, and I experience unlimited happiness. So this is the result, that this chanting is so pure that it stops the activities of the mind. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So we're trying to purify the mind, so there's no more contamination in the mind. Just that pure desire to serve Krishna. So those are a few words. Any question or comments from our huge assembly here?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I had one reflection about that gentleman that asked the question in challenging mood.
Yeah.
This comes from 7th Canto, Chapter 7, Text 21, what Prahlada learned in the womb. The translation is as follows. An expert geologist can understand where there is gold, and by various processes can extract it from the gold ore. Similarly, a spiritually advanced person can understand how the spiritual particle exists within the body, and thus by cultivating spiritual knowledge, he can attain perfection in spiritual life. However, as one who is not expert cannot understand where there is gold, a foolish person who has not cultivated spiritual knowledge cannot understand how the spirit exists within the body. Prabhupada purports it's due to a lack of spiritual knowledge, and then he quotes Tadvigyatam Sagurum Ivabhigachet, that one must approach a spiritual master only by this way that one can actually understand how the soul is existing within the body.
Very good. Thank you so much. But this person would not accept that because you just gave it an analogy.
Prabhupada says that analogies are required for people to make sense of things. So he's
Yeah, well, he wouldn't accept that. He's not very, let's say, not very bright.
yeah.
Analogies are so good for understanding. Therefore,
Mm,
Prabhupada uses so many analogies. Krishna uses so many analogies. But
mm,
sometimes as the embodied self, what is it? As a person gives up his old garments and accepts new garments,
mm.
similarly the soul accepts new material bodies given. So many analogies Krishna gives in the books, in the Bhagavad Gita, also in the Uddhava Gita, and so on. The analogies are fantastic. But
Yeah.
I guess it's because it proved him wrong.
Mm,
Because some of these analogies are so good that there's nothing you could say. I mean, that's good. So he could just retort it, but nah, I don't like analogy. So therefore, he thinks he wins.
yeah. It makes sense. I had a similar experience in Colorado, this place called Littleton. This lady was asking about the same thing. And I just asked her, what makes you a person? And she said, the heartbeat. And I said, well, the heart is there in a dead person also. She said, electrical nerve impulse. So she was starting to go through all these different things. The idea is that we cannot come to some conclusive truth about how the soul exists. When actually, Vaisheshika Maharaj explains that one in any field of activity, one must accept an axiomatic truth. Otherwise, one gets to what's called infinite regress, where one is constantly doubting anything and goes nowhere. So, to such a person, they remain stagnant and even sometimes worse, you can say, they regress in their so-called progress.
Yeah.
And to such a person, they're not of value of anyone actually, because they're constantly in this phase of challenge and doubt, and therefore they remain in that state.
I mentioned this to that person that even in our Constitution, it said we hold these truths to be self-evident. All the lineages are created equally, endowed by the Creator for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Self-evident means axiomatic. It doesn't need proof from another source. It's accepted. This is true. You don't. It's just something you just have to accept. Like fire is hot, water is wet. There's some things are just axiomatic truths. But this is Kali Yuga, so hard for people to accept truth.
Yes, true.
Yeah. Any other questions or reflections? Or yes,
I have something. If anyone else doesn't have anything online, I have something.
go ahead.
Yes. So thank you for the wonderful class. It was wide of thought like the ocean, deep. But several thoughts when you were talking about the story or the analogy of the man on the third story of a burning building, and this material world is likened to a prison house, and that we have to escape. I was thinking about Bhagavad Gita 7:14, where Krishna says, this divine energy of mind consisting of three modes of material nature is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. And I was thinking about that because he uses the word overcome, and then later he says cross. But then I looked up what the definition of the word overcome means, and overcome means to successfully deal with, control, or beat a problem, challenge, or difficult feeling. And I was thinking about our relationship with material nature is like that. We have sometimes sentiments towards our family or loved ones, or a lot of sentiment or feelings with the material energy. And we have to control our mind and beat our mind. It's like Bhaktisiddhanta says that we have to beat our mind 3 times in the morning, something like that, and then 100 times in the morning, and then again in the evening. So I was thinking about that. And then in regards to the lady that was so heartless that killed her baby so she could get a tan. The other day when Vaishnav Pushni and I were out on books, we often inquired while we're waiting for people to come to the table. We're like, why is the world like this? Why is it like this? Why is that man drinking a beer? And so we saw, I was curious, there was a guy walking with beer, and how much do we take from Mother Nature? How much water do we take to produce beer globally, annually, and annually globally? Globally, the beer industry uses roughly 550 billion to 568 billion liters of water annually.
560 billion
liters of water. So
water.
It just kind of reminded me of like we're kind of like killing the baby in our womb. Like we're killing Mother Nature in that way, just so heartlessly.
Terrible. Yeah. And so much water they need to raise cows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Terrible. This analogy I gave of the person in the building that was shouting for help. This actually happened in Australia. Devotees were getting the Rath Yatra cart ready for Rath Yatra coming up. So just a few doors down from where they were doing it, there was a fire. and there was 3 ladies screaming out the window, "There's a fire!" So one devotee, this lady, she's in charge of, what's her name? Charu's wife over there in
Vaibhavi Mataji.
huh?
Vaibhavi.
Vaibhavi. Vaibhavi. She told the devotees, "Get the canvas." We had that big canvas for the Rath Yatra. So she told the devotees, "Get the canvas and stretch it out and tell them to jump." So they did. They had about 10 devotees, and they stretched out the canvases are strong, Rath Yatra. So they stretched it out, and they told them, "Jump!" Jump. It's like 3 or 4 stories high, so it's like, well, will it work? So, but then they got the fire behind them. They go, "Oh my God, which one?" So the boldest one, the first one jumped, and she made it, and then they all jumped, and the devotees saved them. So Vaibhavi, she told the devotees, call the newspaper, tell them what happened. Next day, it was front page newspapers. The Haris, they used to call the Hare Krishna the Haris. The Haris, they saved 3 girls. They used their sacred tarp to save these 3 girls. And they sent this to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was so happy, so send more. I want more of these, because he could show them to his guests. So Prabhupada said, "This is the devotee. Here we are. We're preparing for a sacred ceremony, sacred activity, but seeing the difficulty, the devotees out of the compassion, they saved these ladies." So it was a very, very favorable article. Okay. Anything else? Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai. His Grace Vijay Prabhu ki Jai. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Thank you for joining, dear devotees. Have a wonderful Krishna conscious day. Haribo.